Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, GHA family and friends. We are back with another homework helper, and this is lesson 1. We are now in module 2 for 6th grade, okay? So I'm going to read the directions and then I'm going to get you started. So this lesson is about interpreting division of a fraction by a whole number. So sometimes we'll do the standard algorithm and sometimes we're going to make models. Here, it says find the value of each of the following in its simplest form. So my students should know about simplest form or lowest terms. That means when you solve the problem and you find the quotient to this division problem, you have to make sure that your answer is in simplest terms or simplest form, okay? So if you have a fraction, you have to make sure that it cannot be divided by anything. It needs to be in its lowest form, okay? So we're going to get started. Number 1A says 1/3 divided by 4, okay? 1/3 divided by 4. So we're dividing fraction by a whole number. And so in class, I tell you, if we have a whole number and we want to keep it that way, we put it over 1, okay? So 4 over 1 is equal to 4. Not to be confused with 4 over 4, which equals 1, okay? Anything over 1 is itself, okay? Just like in multiplication, anything multiplied by 1 is itself. So now we can divide. The first step, put our whole number over 1. The second step, we're going to change our operation to multiplication. We're going from division to multiplication. We keep our first fraction the same. And we're going to flip our second fraction. So the 4 is now on the bottom. It is now our denominator. And the 1 is now our numerator. So now we can multiply straight across. So we have 1 times 1, which is 1. And we have 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay? So in the event that we have 1 as our numerator, we already know that this fraction is in simplest form, okay? Because we cannot divide anything by 1, okay? So 1/12 is your answer. I'm gonna go over one more. Let me find one that looks a bit difficult. So we have, if we look at number 3C, we have an improper fraction to start off. So we're dividing an improper fraction by a whole number. So pay attention. C, number 3C says 20 over 6 divided by 2. 20 over 6 divided by 2. Okay? So our first step is to take our whole number and put it over 1. Okay? The next step, change our operation. Our first fraction stays the same. And our second fraction is flipped. So now the 1 is our numerator, and our 2 is the denominator. So it looks like we're multiplying 26 times 1/2, okay? So we multiply across the top. 20 times 1 is 20. And then we have 6 times 2, and we know 6 times 2 is 12. So our answer is still an improper fraction, okay? 20 over 6 divided by 2 is 20 over 12. So now that we have this, we can try to put it in simplest form, or we can change it to a mixed number. All right, so let's try it. The way that we turn this into a mixed number, here's how we get our coefficient. That's how we get our big number. Then we're gonna have a fraction, okay? Mixed number. So how many times does 12 go into 20? Well, we can't say twice because 12 twice is 24. So we can say 1 time, and we know that 12 times 1 is 12. So how many more do we need to make 20? We're going to put that as our top number, okay? So 1 times 12 is 12. We need 8 more to make 20. So we're going to put our 8 here. And our bottom number stays the same on all of our fractions, okay? So we have 1 and 8/12. But this is not in simplest form. This can still be divided. So we need to find out what our fraction portion of this answer has in common. So 8 and 12, what do they have in common? Well, they have 2 in common. And they also have 4 in common, okay? So let's try to divide by 4 and see how far we can make this fraction get in simplest form, okay? So if we divide by 4 here, and we know whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So we have 2 and we have 3. So this is in lowest terms, okay? Because sometimes nothing can be, these two numbers cannot be divided by the same thing anymore. They're in simplest form, okay? So we still keep our coefficient as 1. And our new fraction, we went from 8/12 to 2/3. 2/3 is equivalent to 8/12, okay? So our answer here, we went from 20/12 to 1 2/12. So if you would like to check that, here's how you check it. 12 times 1 is 12. Oh, I apologize. So I made the fraction, we simplified the fraction, so it's not gonna add up the way that you think. All right, so this is supposed to be 8/12, all right? So look, 12 times 1 is 12 plus 8 would give us that top number of 20. And as I said before, our bottom number stays the same. But here's your answer in simplest form. Okay, 1 2/3, okay? All right, I'm gonna find another problem for you. Let's look at number 4. Number 4 only has one problem, okay? So I wanna go over this with you so you can look through it, look through the other ones and find out what it is that you actually need to do. So if we look at number 4, it says 4 loads of stone weigh 2/3 of a ton. Find the weight of 1 load of stone. So we have 4 loads, and those 4 loads of stone weigh 2/3 of a ton. So immediately we have our two numbers that are going to form our division question, okay? So we have 2/3 divided by 4. So look, you got to look through your story problem and find the numbers that are going to create your division problem. So 1 is going to be a fraction for sure. The other one is going to be a whole number. So now that we have our division expression, we're going to put our whole number over 1. Now we're going to change it to multiplication. We have 2/3, and then we're going to flip the second fraction, 1/4. Now we can multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 4 is 12. All right, so we are still putting our answer in simplest form. So 2 and 12 have a few things in common, but we're gonna go with 2. So if I divide this by 2 at the top, then I have to divide the bottom by 2. So here's our fraction in simplest form. We have 1/6, 1/6, okay? Okay, have a good evening.